Welcome to our daily coverage of Leg 2 from Lisbon to Cape Town. This was footage that came in this morning straight from the racecourse. What you're watching here is the stern camera on board Sun Hun Kai Scallywag. And this is pretty indicative of what the conditions have been like for the last few hours since the start. And what you're seeing now is what happens when things go wrong. A broach out in the ocean for Sun Hun Kai Scallywag. But one thing to note here, just how quickly this team gets the boat back upright. All of the teams have had their dramas. All of the teams have had their challenges. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag, like everyone else, not escaping the fury of the wind and the waves. Well, that's what's going on right now. This is the battle that's raging. But let's have a look at where the fleet have been sailing over the last 12 hours as we've left Lisbon on the start of leg 2. It is a 7,000-mile dash to the south, and there's a whole host of obstacles to come. But first, it's all about this downwind blast towards Madeira. When are you going to jibe? How hard are you going to push things? Are you going to reserve a little bit of energy? Mafre, Dongfeng race team have been playing the edges in the early part. Vestas 11th Hour Racing have been really charging for the lead as well. But this is how the leg looks overall. From Lisbon, we're going all the way down past Madeira Island, past the doldrums and that tricky equator crossing, down to Cape Town to the finish, 7,000 miles away. So it's going to be a long leg, 21 days left of racing to go, and it's certainly going to be tough to keep the energy levels high, especially with a start as strong as this one. And right now, we can go live to Vestas 11th Hour Racing, currently pushing hard for the lead. And I believe we've got Simon Fisher, the navigator, on board. Simon, it's Niall and Volvo Ocean Race headquarters. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you. Good afternoon. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going very well. We've been absolutely amazed by some of the footage going, coming in from the boats. It looks unbelievably wet and wild.
Yeah, it's been a pretty rough ride, straight from the get-go, really. There was even a bit more wind when we came out the river in Lisbon. We were straight into 35 knots, so there's not really been much time to settle into things on this leg. It's, straight into fast and furious, so... it's been pretty full on, not a lot of sleep, certainly trying to do things downstairs and even look at the weather, sort of test your constitution somewhat. So it's all been, pretty frantic so far, but it'd be fair to say that it's getting a little nicer now. We were lucky enough to have a full moon last night, which makes a great deal of difference. You can kind of see the waves even at night, so that helps you keep fast. But no, so far so good.
Well, we're seeing the rest of your crew just up on deck at the moment, just sort of togged up against the spray that's coming over. I'm guessing that you're sort of hiding out in the hatch as best you can right now?
Yeah, I'm hiding out in the hatch just right now. It's been a through traffic at the moment as we change watches. Tone and Yenna coming off deck. Tuny and Stacey are coming up, so bit of fresh energy onto deck, although those guys got interrupted in the middle of their off watch for their jibe, so it kind of gives you a feel for how relentless it is, if you see what I mean. Even when you're supposed to be sleeping, you spend most of your time in your kit at the moment.
How are the energy levels right now, one day into a 21-day leg?
It's pretty good. Our navigator's feeling a little bit jaded, I'll have to admit, but no, everyone's doing well. Everyone's been pushing hard, and we're just slowly settling in. It's quite nice. Things are getting a bit lighter and a bit nicer, and the sort of sea state's a bit more organised, and with the wind dropping a little bit, it's getting a bit more into nice downwind sailing rather than just hanging on. So it's good, and we're sort of less worried about keeping the boat in one piece now, and now just making sure we're fast and we're in the right place tactically.
Well, let's talk tactics then, because obviously it's a really long leg, but the first challenge seems to be Madeira Island. What's your plan here?
Yeah, well, it's fair to say we've been keeping our options open as long as we can. We've got a position report just coming up, and that'll give us a good feel for where we are pinned with the fleet. We saw Matt Frey a little bit earlier, who crossed in front of us, so we know she's going west. Also Dongfeng a couple of hours before that, so it would certainly be our preference to go out to the west.
It's been a while, right?
If we get a lot of westing in earlier, it certainly makes things easier with respect to the Madeira, and then the Canary Islands, and also the Cabo Verdes, which means I can spend more time in my sleeping bag and probably less time scratching my head, which is which is a good thing. But no, it looks like the complicating bit in the forecast is, you know, we've got this great northeasterly gradient wind here, good flow around the high, so it's about managing that. But there's also this little inverted trough, a little low pressure coming off the coast of Africa, and that'll tend to mess things up a bit further down the track past the Canaries. So the preferred option is to get out and get west of that and cross in front of that. Sort of plan B would be to go all the way to the coast and try and get behind it, which some of the model runs do, but it looks like a pretty messy solution. So yeah, big picture wise, the idea is to get west, get around that, get down, but we also are mindful that it is a 20-day leg, and we want to sort of kind of keep tabs on the fleet a little bit as well. So it's sort of a little bit fleet management, a little bit working on the strategy, and seeing how it pans out over the next few skids.
Well, obviously a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and we're seeing the crew, the watch at the moment on deck working pretty hard. Who's driving at the moment? How's the boat set up?
Yeah, we got TJ on the wheel at the moment. He's my watch buddy. We've been up for 2 hours, so we tend to drive in the last half of our watch. And then Tuny's on the handles there. Stacey's on the main. Just keeping it going fast, really.
Yeah, we're just seeing the guys just taking the chance to wave to us. Just, I mean, we've been working our way through the fleet, and we've been seeing everybody pushing pretty hard. Maybe at times, fair to say, struggling with the conditions. Have you guys had any little moments so far?
Well, it's got fairly exciting a few times, but no, I'm pleased to report we haven't had anything too dicey going on. It's obviously when it's windy and rough. Our first jibe last night sort of took us a little while to get organised, but it's sort of better to take the time, make sure you do it right and don't have any accidents, as opposed to rushing and letting things slip up. And no, I've been pleasantly surprised by our boat speed. We've obviously made some inroads into the guys in front, judging by how close the crosses have been. So and you know, we certainly haven't done that on wind shifts alone. So I think the boat's going well, and the guys are doing a really good job. So happy faces all around at the moment, I think.
And just finally then, I mean, on leg one, you guys absolutely flew. The tactics seemed to be just sharp for the coastal racing. Now we're into a really offshore, pure offshore. Are you guys feeling as confident as you should have been with leg one?
I mean, we had a great leg one, that's for sure. Just hoping I haven't used all my luck up on that one, but no, it's, to be honest, it'd be fair to say we're probably not the most experienced boat in these conditions in the fleet. There's a few teams that've had a bit more preparation time, so we're a little bit green in some areas. But I think once we get going in a straight line and going fast, we're figuring stuff out all the time and getting quicker all the time. And yeah, no, we're feeling good. We know if we sail well, we sail fast, and go the right way, then you know, we're in with a shot. So it's never easy, and there's a long road ahead of us. But you know, if we make good decisions, then we should be right up in there. So we just got to keep doing what we can do best, and pressing on, really.
All right,
keep
Simon.
learning all the time, that's the key.
Simon, listen, I'm seeing such a hosing going on the deck, and I know you're just precariously placed in the hatch, just trying to stay dry, so we will let you get back down below to your nav station and keep pushing the boat hard. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
No problem. Good to talk to you, and yeah, have a good day back there. We'll enjoy ourselves out here.
Well, that was Simon Fisher, navigator of Vestas 11th Hour Racing. Now, we've got Conrad Colman with me here in the Volvo Ocean Race headquarters, the hive of all the activity. And Conrad, you know, one thing that's been buzzing around the office, who's leading, who's behind, where are the positions, who at the moment is controlling the leg? But you're convinced it's not that easy. It's difficult to call.
It's not that easy. It's not like football where you can go like, okay, so the ball has gone through the goal 2, 3, 4 times, if it's exciting. During the course of one game. You know what the score is. It's very clear. It's marked there. However, the thing that is challenging about this is that even though we have a leaderboard, we don't actually know if it's valid. And let me explain it. If you jump into my computer here, what I'd like to show is this is the leaderboard as it stands right now. If you're following the race, you can see quite clearly that we've got Sunken Kai Scallywag there and they're showing up there in first place. I think it's the first time that we've seen that for the Scallywags, as skipper David Witt says. And you can see Dongfeng racing out there, and they're way down in the bottom in 7th place. But are they really? Now, that's the big question. The way that the ranking system works in the Volvo Ocean Race, and indeed all races around the world, is that you need to have a series of waypoints like this as reference marks. And those are basically just measuring points. Now, if we look at this one here, which is Cap Blanc, down on the African coast, and we stretch that out, you can see right here that it is hitting the fleet that is down to the south earlier. So that's giving them an initial high ranking. Any boat that's in the south is in the lead on the leaderboard, and then we've got Dongfeng Racing out to the west, and they're getting absolutely punished by this ranking system. However, as we will come to see, they may not actually be in last place. No?
So a little bit difficult for us here to work out exactly who's leading, and obviously difficult for the sailors as well. And right now, everybody is aware that there are plenty of obstacles to come. One of the teams that I spoke to just a few moments before we came on air was Mafre, speaking to Antonio Netti on board, who were a bit of a character hiding out in the hatch again. And I asked him how the boat is sailing and how they're faring on the start of leg 2.
It's been a wild ride so far. Pretty wet. We have a couple of smalls out of the grinding. Even Rob last night lost the wheel for a couple of seconds because he was smashed with a wave. So yeah, pretty wild. But so far so good. Last night we have a couple of good gusts of 30-35 knots. But yeah, it's been tough because the competition is so close. We just have a couple of boats passing right in our back. So yeah, it's pretty close racing. At the moment, we are all good. It's been a tough night. We are pretty tired because we did a couple of jibes and we've been working hard the whole night. And obviously, the conditions inside is not very comfortable right now. But well, we are all in one piece and we're pushing hard as much as we can, and we will keep doing it.
How much rest are you able to get on the boat when the conditions are like this?
Well, not much, because the problem is in the bank, you slide forward all the time with the nose down. So, yeah, it's pretty hard to sleep. I think right now we're trying to go west to get close to the acceleration of Madeira, which I think is going to be a key part. Even the last jibe didn't well so good for us, but we're expecting getting better in the next few hours and catch this acceleration of Madeira and see what happens.
Do you guys feel confident in these conditions?
Well, I think most of the things doing well. As I say, we just have Best as a while ago going 0.5 miles behind, and Dongfeng is doing very well. So yeah, I think it's 4 or 5 teams very powerful, and everyone can do very well.
So it's been an incredible sled ride, amazing sea state, amazing breeze. But looking ahead, I mean, 12 hours time, how does it look?
So yeah, I think we will have like 24 more hours or 30 more hours of these conditions, 25 knots and big waves. And once we reach west of Canary Islands, it's going to start to drop down a little bit and up to 20 or 18 knots maybe.
Antonio Kevas Mons there on board Mafre, and Conrad, it's really frustrating when the sailors don't exactly tell us what it is that they're doing to make the boats go so fast, because as we came in to the office and we've been watching some of the footage and indeed some of the data, Mafre seems to have a bit of a speed edge. Do we have any idea what it is that they're doing?
Well, Ferrari goes fast and they're red, right? So if you count this up, we've got 2 red boats in the race. We've got Mafre and Dongfeng Race Team. And looking at the data right now, we can see that they have done 518 miles and 516 miles. So those 2 red boats are absolutely blazing. So we've been doing an average here over the last 24 hours of 18.2 and 17.9. If we put that in comparison to Turn the Tide on Plastic, that's a full knot faster for the 2 red boats. With the little downwards looking camera from the spreader, we saw that they have the masthead code 0, the J3 and the J2 up, so basically as much canvas as they possibly can. Remember, that's in comparison to what we just saw on Vestas, which was the A3 and the J3. So the bigger sail, maybe they're sailing a little bit lower than the Mapfre one, but basically what they're doing is they're sailing really fast, they're sailing quite high angles, they're sailing more distance than everybody else, and I think that it comes down to experience and knowing where that crossover is between the right sails and the right gear for this kind of condition.
Because of course it's important to know that all the boats are identical, all the sails are identical as well, but it's really proving out here on leg 2, as it did with some stages on leg 1 as well. It's how you use that equipment. Right now, there are some teams with just that little bit of speed edge, but Mapfre, they've been unable to break away. We saw a cross with Vestas 11th Hour Racing, only half a mile. So it's going to be tactical yet again. Meteorological effects are going to come into play. What is going to be the right move?
Well, let's jump into my computer here, and you can see this is what's going on. This is where the boats are now. They're sort of in this zone and approaching Madeira. So Madeira is this island here. We got close to it last time when we went around Porto Santo. We saw the big wake effect, this area of disturbed air. And what this does is it serves as a barrier that once you go either this side or this side, you cannot cross backs and forwards. You have to totally commit to going either east or west, because trying to get through on one side or the other is just going to mean that you're stuck without wind. Absolutely. So we can see Dongfeng here, Vestas, or where they are now, Songhunkai Scallywag. That west is best, I think. Winning west, whatever cliche you want to put on top of it. We just spoke with Sci-Fi, and he was talking about the fact that he wants to take this route down here. You can see lots of pressure right on the edge of that zone there. And also, west is an investment for the future. If we go now to Wednesday at 1700, just to help you localize in this image, this is the African coast, this is the Canaries, and these are the Cape Verdes, that this is the low pressure zone that Simon Fisher was talking about. So this is 2 days down the road, and all the wind here shuts off. So the only way forward is to really get out here to the west. That means that two things. First, there's more wind here. So there's more wind out here, and also you can see that you're sailing a higher angle, closer to the wind here than if you're down here. Basically, west is best today, tomorrow, and the next day.
So it's going to be a real sled ride then over the next few hours to work out exactly the best way to attack this tactical option. We're going to be keeping you up to date with everything. And of course, the tracker at the moment, because the start of the race was only yesterday, the tracker is still live. I think it's live just before we came on air. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more live tracker to give you. After that, we go to the official 6-hour updates, 700 UTC, 1300 UTC, and so on. But we've got Will Harris behind me, and the rest of the race expert team are here as well. And anytime anything interesting, tactical or otherwise happens, they update the tracker and they put something out on Twitter as well. So if you haven't done so yet already, subscribe to the Race Expert feed on Twitter. We will be back tomorrow at 700 UTC for a quick fix, and then another in-depth daily live at 1300 UTC. We'll see you then.